Welcome, this is Education Matters. I'm your talk show host, Mr. Kamambogwa, and I'm pleased that you're watching. Today we are going to talk about volunteerism and its relation to education, especially the SDG number 4. And I have the privilege of having with me some very good guests. I have already on my left, Madam Kiogora, and Mr. Sandia. I will ask you to kindly introduce yourself. Let the viewer know who you are, Madam Kiogora.
So my name is Doris Kiogora. I'm the program coordinator at Peacemaker International. Peacemaker International is a Kenyan NGO that works in the education space. Yes, and what we do is that we train high school graduates and send them to public primary schools as teaching assistants. We have a 6-month program where we engage them before they join university. And yes, I'm happy to be here talking about
Thank you, welcome. So you'll be telling us about what you do in volunteerism in relationship to education. And my friend Sandia, kindly introduce yourself to our viewer.
Thank you, my brother. My name is Frederick Sadia, and I am the Secretary and National Coordinator to the Volunteer Involvement Organizational Society. The VIR Society is a network of several organizations in Kenya that are working with volunteers and through volunteerism to promote development. And so far what we do is that we work closely with the government through the Ministry of Labor, East Africa Community Affairs and Social Protection to develop both legal and policy infrastructures that are promoting or creating an enabling environment for volunteerism in Kenya. So this is what we've been doing, and then trying to engage each other in these organizations in supporting the work of the government towards creating this infrastructure that would in turn support the work of volunteers in Kenya, and as well as those organizations, including government agencies and institutions, for example, higher learning and corporates that are working in the volunteerism sector.
Thank you. So on this program, viewer will be looking at 3 critical issues. One of them will get an overview and the history of volunteerism. We also look at the gaps in the education sector that can or are served by volunteerism. We also look at volunteerism. Is it sustainable? Do we have a future of volunteerism? First things first, Mr. Sandia, give us an overview of volunteerism, the history. How long have we had volunteerism? How much have you done yourself in that area?
First of all, allow me to appreciate the fact that volunteerism is not a new idea. Volunteerism has been practiced across the world, and sometimes I like to appreciate the fact that it has been practiced in Africa, even in our local Kenyan context. And the best we can cite is soon after independence and the clarion call of Harambee Spirit that was urging the founding president, and the team then was urging Kenyans to come out and go do something that was going to improve the livelihood of the people, that was going to help in, for example, creating infrastructures, for example, schools, hospitals. So it is an old phenomenon. And we know that even from across Africa it has been practiced as well. In Uganda, we know Jamaa in Tanzania, we are appreciating of Umuganda in Rwanda, and South Africa, Ubuntu. So these are all forms of volunteering that have already existed. Coming back to Kenya, the government, working together with the VIR Society and other stakeholders, have found the need and the importance of the value of volunteering.
Yes.
And to be able to even get into details of ensuring a better value on volunteering, the government has been working very closely with our society, and so far this kind of a closer working partnership has allowed Kenya to have a national volunteerism policy that was adopted by the cabinet last year in February, and which now there are plans underway to implement. Additionally,
by coming up with an act or parliamentary act on that?
Additionally, thank you for observing that. Additionally, we are now working on a bill of parliament that would now anchor into law the whole enabling environment for volunteerism in the country. And you would appreciate that basically what the law would would be to, provide that legal infrastructure that would appreciate to ensure that there is the protection of the volunteers, the volunteer institutions, and also creating parameters within which then we...
So for how long then has this organization that you read, the VIOS, for how long has it been in place?
The VIO was formed way back in the year 2004 as a loose network. You know, several organizations, if I may just mention a few, Progressive Volunteers, AMREF then, under a group of Ungana Young Friends of AMREF, VSO Kenya, Kenya Red Cross, the UNV program in Kenya, the President's Award, and several other organizations came together to start engaging amongst themselves to better the volunteerism field or sector in Kenya. And after a period of time, we realized that it was going to be necessary to engage the government. And then something happened in 2001 when the UN General Assembly acknowledged the value of volunteerism. So that is what informed the formation of the network in 2004. And moving forward, we started engaging the government to have them see the value that volunteers or volunteerism in general is adding towards the development of our country in terms of economic, social, and even political.
How responsive has the government been when you've been doing this?
I would say that the government has been so far very welcoming. In the first instances, of course, there were the apprehensions, you know, because we really needed to show that it is important to have volunteers engaged. But coming to 2008, the government started to be very responsive, and that is when immediately they found the need that there was going to be a need for a multi-stakeholder engagement. In 2012, we proceeded on, and finally in 2014, we started working seriously now and on the development of the National Volunteerism Policy. We got support from amongst the members of the VIO Society, the UNV, VSO Kenya. The government also committed to it, and that is when now we were able to finally have a policy in place in the year 2016.
So could you say that in the whole of that history you could have some success stories that have come out of the involvement and the initiative that you are leading?
Definitely yes. I would say that in as much as there were challenges of, first of all, appreciating the value of volunteering, finally we are at a better place. We as Kenyans now have even a definition of what we consider as volunteerism.
Would you kindly give us a very brief definition?
I will give a brief definition by saying that volunteerism is the offering of one's service, skills, resources in support of another individual or community or nation or nations for the benefit of such specified persons without the expectation of any financial gain rather than what we call appropriate or necessary reimbursement.
So it means volunteership is not the element of just giving yourself, and you can give in different forms, not just time money, because there is always this common notion of volunteering is where I go and give myself to a particular organization and do something for them.
It varies, and maybe my colleague would also want to come in, but I think it looks at the skills, it looks at the time, it looks at the what resource you may also be willing to give. It is encompassing, you know, it is something that you're doing out of free choice, you know, then you're not compared. So you can tell, for me, it is my time and skill that I will be able to offer. Someone would say, for me, it is, I will create space for you guys, that is a resource I have, so that you can come and engage in it.
I would like Madam Kiogora to chip in and talk about the history and the success, maybe of volunteerism with specific regard to your organization, Pacemakers.
So as Pacemaker, we actually started back in 2013 with a class of 24 young people who were willing to volunteer. And from then, we've grown into now a class of 150 volunteers who have been able to give 172,000 hours of service to public primary schools. And so for us, we see through volunteerism, of course, we've seen better grades in the public schools that we're serving. We've seen better environments, better learning environments for the kids, as well as even positive behavior changes among the kids that we support. And so for us, that's a success. And we are looking into now to keep on cultivating this culture of volunteerism among young people and getting more young people to get involved in the volunteerism.
So in your opinion, you would say that volunteerism has taken root in Kenya and can only
can only get better, and more people are actually embracing the idea of volunteering.
Wow, thank you very much. I would want us to take a break, but before we take a break, Madam Bonasandia, maybe you could just tell us again, have you had some challenges in that whole area of volunteerism? Have you encountered some challenges, some teething problems that you think have hampered volunteerism?
One, the willingness of people to come out and volunteer, but even more so, an understanding of what volunteerism is about. We observed as we were working on volunteerism policy that volunteerism is misunderstood. And so to be able to understand it, that is why now we're taking the whole process of implementing this policy that has been developed in partnership with the government, so that people and Kenyans may want to start to embrace volunteerism. But there are also other challenges, like volunteer financing. It is not an easy task, you know, because again, you want to acknowledge that when people do not understand something, it is also difficult for them to commit to it in terms of providing resources that then will promote that. So many challenges, but of course we are working gradually to overcome this.
Thank you very much. On that account, viewer, we'll take a short commercial break. When you come back, we'll look at the place of volunteerism in education. This is Education Matters. Keep watching, watch and learn.